it's noisy out front here, Ted. That's why we've never been out here. But I wanted to show you this tree. It's a Virginia fringe tree, and it blooms this time of year, and then gets really tiny fruit on it that the birds will eat. Kind of, they're called drupes. And so this is a new tree that's been planted last year because the other one, it didn't make it. It was, it's a tough environment out here between the sidewalk and the curb. And so if a street tree lives 15 or 20 years, that's a lot. So those trees lived 20 years, and now we've replaced it, starting with the new guy.
That's a nice looking tree, though.
Oh yeah, it's beautiful. And this one is a single stem versus this one below it here is multi-stem. So a lot of people get tired of mowing, and we did too. And so this is what we did to control the mowing. We don't have anything, we've just got shrubs. And they're all low growing, and they're pretty sustainable. I haven't pruned out here in about 10 years. So that is possible if you get the right plants.
Yeah, because you wouldn't have to prune this if you didn't want to.
No, and everything is grown to its height and its limit. And I pick plants that would grow 2 to 3 feet high, and that's the way it goes. We're done. Then this is the pathway to the backyard, and we've still got a little bit of color. May is sort of the quiet time of year for flowering. We've got more interesting greenery coming up, and that's what's really kind of fun in our yard, is because you get different textures. So this shrub right here is called the Kothawee, or dog hobble is the common name, and it has a little bit of a red tinge, some beautiful little berries, flowering that looks a little bit like lily of the valley, and then they'll become berries, and the birds will eat those. But I wanted to have, before I had Japanese holly here, and I've been wanting to get rid of it, and it's been slowly dying. So I went down to Colesville Nursery and got this Lakothawee, but this is a cultivar, which is a native plant, but then it's bred for its size, and so it's Lakothawee scarlata, and it will only get about 3 or 4 feet tall, and it'll fit in this space right here.
Fits perfectly.
Yeah, exactly. And that's wild ginger back there, and that comes in every year, fills that space in. It's happy as a clam. And this little rock wall, I just built it. Rock walls used to be my specialty. I used to build 30, 40-foot long rock walls, but no longer. I'm too old for that. But I just put that there to kind of control this. So the name of my landscape company is still Through the Garden Gate. And so this was what I had the picture on always when you came into my garden, is that you opened up the garden gate and you got this type of a look. This is lady fern. This is Christmas fern. Behind you is cinnamon fern over there in the corner. And then over here we have what's called sensitive fern, which is a bully. It really takes over an area, so I have to keep it under control. And then that's royal fern back there. And then we have some azaleas blooming. Our dogwood is done blooming. And then this witch hazel was hit by the storm 2 years ago. And so I just had the branches removed, and I've left it for the birds to kind of peck on and maybe use it as a perching area. So that's my little tiny snag. That's what a dead tree is called, a snag. And then I'll plant another small tree back in this area someplace if I can fit it in. The bluebells are done, and some more wild ginger in here. These are native azaleas right here, but it's starting to dissipate, I think. Nope, no scent left in that. And then we've got different ground covers in here. This is called snowberry. This is called, these are wild violets, and then different types of things. And then another thing that just kind of showed up is behind the bench over here. It's called bloodroot. It just showed up. And so the birds deposit that, and so it's a really nice little native. And then this is called Allegheny spurge. It's very green when it starts, and then it gets mottled and interesting when it's later. And then the itea is starting to bloom, and that's kind of this area here. This is a cranberry viburnum. It's done blooming, but it'll create fruit for the birds to eat. Over there, under the window of the kitchen, I've got the deutzia, which is a mounding plant that overflows. And there's just nothing better for that space than the Deutzia, so I'm leaving it. It's happy there, and so am I happy there. So to your right over here, we've got arrowwood viburnum. We planted those a year ago. I'm going to go walk back here so you can see it. So these were planted. They were this high a year and a half ago. So they're now 6 feet tall. This is elderberry, and you can see that it's starting to bloom, and then it'll fruit and give the birds. And this is winterberry, again blooming. I've got a male winterberry back here that helps me pollinate this whole area. So you have to have a male along with a female winterberry if you want to get berries. And then our New York ironwood is starting to come up, and I'll trim that in a few weeks so that it gets bushier. Otherwise it gets very floppy. So you can see now, you remember this in the winter, how it was just empty. It was bare ground, and now it's filled. It's filled in. So what I do is, and many people will do this, if you can just have the patience to let the wild violets and the wild strawberries take over, it really keeps your weeding down to a minimum. You know, my next door neighbor, really wonderful people, but they have 100% grass in their yard. So the birds can't be out there and be safe. They've got to be able to jump into a bush and hide. And so that's what's great about this yard. There's plenty of places to jump into a bush and hide. And that's what they do. So you'll see them streaking through here, tucking in, running and taking a bath, popping out. Birds don't like to stay out in the open very long because it can be very dangerous for them, especially with hawks. And there's a resident hawk kind of coming through here on a regular basis. I got this old gate from a friend of mine who had it in the back of their garage just laying around. I said, hey, I'd love to have this. And this is kind of a fun thing to put in a yard. You see there's a couple other gates that I've done that with, or fences. So you just get a piece of fence and you put it up. And it kind of gives the area kind of a sense of place. And so you can do that any place in a yard. And, you know, people like to have like a big sweep of the yard, but if you've got a gate, it's not going to break up your eye. It's still going to let you see through it. But it's kind of a fun thing to have.
It really is just like sitting in the forest here.
It is, and it's quite peaceful. And as you can hear, the sound of the traffic is really dissipated with all the trees that we've put in.
Yeah.
So no grass cutting yet for us. We try to keep it to the point where, I don't know, this year we're having a tour of the yard on May 16th for the Garden Club of Virginia. So I have been working in the yard a little bit more. Usually I spend about 4 or 5 hours in the spring getting the yard spruced up, and then a few hours in the fall. And that's pretty much all the work we do here.
Well, it looks terrific.